Welcome to Chris Parkin Shooting Sports. I've been invited to Germany and go wild boar shooting, and I've been wild boar shooting several times before, probably a few times actually, but this one's a bit different because this time I'm taking my own rifle, and I usually go on hunting trips where I'm using a supplied rifle, scope, ammunition, the lot, and this time I get to choose what I'm taking, which is kind of nice. Kind of a bit more hassle, but it's probably akin to a lot more what regular shooters do. I'm a bit odd in that respect, but interestingly, most of the times before I've been wild boar shooting, I've been with aim points. I've been using aim point red dot sights, and although I have shot with Meopta and with Blaser and people like that, where I've been using conventional tubed rifle scopes like a 1-4 or a 1-6, for example. So this time I get to choose, and as well as choosing a rifle, well, I thought I'd make a call and try some scopes. So I spoke to Andy at Viking Arms, and I got myself 3 Leupold scopes sent over. There's a bit more of an attached story to that, but essentially I've got a VX-3, a VX-6 and a Mark IV. Now I've got to go to my cheat sheet here because there's a little bit of difference in specification on these and a difference in price as well. Now we're coming in here with the VX3 HD, and that is £960. If we go up to the Mark IV, that is £1,230, and if we go to the VX6, that's £2,040. Now I'll probably cover all this in a full review at a later date, both in magazine format and on a video, but I was just going to go through a few of the details about why I'm going to choose which one. Now of course you're going to say you're going to go for the most expensive. Well, yes I am, but there are reasons for that, and it's not specifically detrimental, it's just a factor of what the specifications are. So on the VX3 we've got a 1.5 to 4 times magnification. If I take a quick look at my cheat sheet here, I've just been online and printed out some facts and figures for you, because if we look at the VX3, I have got a maximum field of view of 67.6 feet at 100 yards, but that is a 1.5 magnification to 5 times magnification, and it's a 20mm objective lens. If we just take a big jump and skip up to the Mark IV now, we've got a 1 times magnification going up to a 4.5 magnification, but we've also got, critically, a 24mm objective lens. So that's giving us slightly more field of view and slightly lower magnification. We get more field of view as well, and that comes in at 118.6 feet at 100 yards. Now similarly, if we go to the VX6, which is the most expensive, this has got the widest magnification range. It's a 1 to 6 power, but if I go down to 1 times, my field of view is now 120.9 feet at 100 yards. Now most people who are going to shoot wild boar would say field of view is great, let's keep both eyes open, especially if you've got 1 times magnification. I personally get on fine with 1.5 times magnification, but some people do like to go absolutely for 1. And of course with both eyes open, it's a bit more like shooting a shotgun because you've got that total fluidity and freedom of dynamic movement. Now as I said, I'll cover most of the full details in the full review of this, but the other comparative feature, and one of the things that might be of interest to some people, these have all got easily dialed turrets on top. So you might be thinking, well, I can change the range, change the distance, this, that and the other, blah blah blah. Now that could be very true, because you might, for wild boar for example, just want to zero at 50 meters, and then you might want to have the ability to take shots at a longer range, because I have been a little bit frustrated on times using a red dot sight where you've got deer specifically at longer distances. Now we're not talking 75 metres, we're talking 150, 200 metres. There have been a lot of shot opportunities which I've never taken with a red dot sight, which of course is possibly why my preference is for the 1-4 or the 1-6 or 1.5 to 4 or 1.5 to 4.5 or whichever they come in at. So it gives you the ability to zoom in for a better, more precise aiming solution, what might actually be not different to a UK deer stalking shot, to be fair. Now critically, the level of elevation adjustment in all 3 scopes is absolutely massive. It's not going to be a problem zeroing on any rifle you set it up with. So to give you some comparative data in terms of actual elevation adjustment at 100 meters, you've got 320 centimeters here on the VX3. The Mark IV is 480 centimeters, and the VX6 is 495 centimeters of maximum vertical elevation adjustment, and that is without considering the actual quick dial turrets, CDS type things and that kind of stuff. Now, so what are we going to go for? Right, number one, I'm traveling with a friend, and he said, I'll put one on my rifle, you put one on your rifle, let's see how we get on. Now, to be fair, he is a better shot than me and he gets a lot more opportunity than me and he's a good friend of mine. So I said, you can take the first pick. And he went, I am going to go with the Mark IV. I said, fair enough, I'll go with the VX-6. So those are the two we're going to fit onto our rifles. Now, they're both 30mm, well, all three are 30mm tubes. Viking have sent me some mounts as well. The only real difference you're going to see straight from the box is that the VX-6 have been supplied with flip-up aluminium lens caps, and of course there is a price difference. The actual perceived field of view difference between these two is virtually nothing. You can actually measure it if you're looking for it, perhaps along a brick wall or something like that. You can count the bricks past the window junction, something like that. But you aren't really going to have an issue with either in the field. And of course, yes, you're going to mathematically see, as I've shown you the details here, they've both got significantly more field of view than the 1.5 because that's also got a 20mm objective lens and these are both 24. So you do just get that little bit more of everything, but you're spending a lot more money too. You know, this is double the price of that. And to be fair, I don't think I'd have a problem with that, and I don't think I'd have a problem with that either. It's just sometimes nice to go with what you want. Now, of course, on this one, we've also got left and right dialing on the fast turret on the side as well with a locking button on it. Will that be needed? I don't really think it will, but it's nice to have the opportunity. And of course, when you've got cold hands in the winter, if you do want to make adjustments, it's a lot easier doing this than going and taking a cap off and going to a little fingertip turret, be it either elevation or windage. Now, these are all Leupold scopes, lifetime warranty, superb manufacturing standards, lovely smooth anodizing, so you're not going to rub skin off and make it look a mess or anything like that, but let's just keep that to one side. So the next step is, which rifle am I going to use? Well, as my regular channel viewers will see, I actually went to America last year and I built a Savage rifle in the factory. Now, I'm trying to remember the exact specification of this rifle, the exact name of this rifle, but it is the Impulse Straight Pull Action. I think it's an Impulse Mountain Hunter, and it's got a Proof Research carbon barrel on it in 7mm PRC. I will say, for starters, I'm not always the biggest fan of carbon barrels because I think they come with certain compromises just to do with the physical mechanics of the materials. But, and I will attach the videos, I've used the same rifle as this for a hunt in Colorado. I then had this rifle sent back to me in the UK. It's come back, it's been proved. I've shot it here, and I've also done some long range shooting here using Hornady 180 grain ELDM match ammunition. I'll tag those videos onto this video so you can see a bit more about the rifle, because there's a full review of the rifle in those videos. Now, I've just taken the moderator off this. There's a bipod on it, sling on it. It's got a night pearl scope on it, and this scope is a 4.5, I believe, 4.5 to 27 by 56. That's not really a wild boar shooting scope, is it? Because number one, it's big, it's heavy, it's got too much magnification, even at 4.5 times, and it's not exactly dynamic, is it? Fantastic long range scope, fantastic varminting or even stalking scope, because of course the rifle is itself pretty light. But what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to take that off, and you can quote me on this if you want, I'm not going to use a sound moderator because there's legal issues with me travelling with that. I'm actually going to put the muzzle brake back on that came with the rifle, and I'm not a muzzle brake fan, but I might as well put it on since I have it. It's not a hugely barky cartridge. The 7mm PRC did come with a lot of fanfare, and in brutal honesty, the original factory ammunition did match all the data available to it. But it's not just quite as pokey as it said it was going to be. I can tell you for a fact, if I look at one of these types of ammunition, which was the 3,000 feet per second, I was about 10% down on muzzle velocity. Now, there are some issues with that. Hornady have actually made a statement on that, why that is. From my perspective, it's generally because powder availability is critical to these high performance cartridges, and if you can't get the correct powder, you have to kind of accept different, physical results from it. But to be fair, I'm going to be using the ELD-X hunting bullets on this trip. That's a 175 grain bullet. This is the same bullet I used when I was in Colorado hunting the pronghorn antelope. It did a superb job, and I was knocking about 2,950 feet per second on that trip. In the UK, cooler temperatures over the chronograph here, I'm knocking about 2,730 or thereabouts. Now, I have also got all the hand loading kit for it and some powder as well, with some Winchester stable powder, so I'll probably load some additional ammunition too. But this is going to provide me with ample muzzle energy for a wild boar at realistic wild boar hunting ranges. There will possibly be also the chance to tackle some deer there as well. But again, you have to be very precise in terms of what quarry you pick, what you're shooting, ranges, sexes, age, maturity, things like that. So that's a factor that you need to really not have to think too much about your rifle, because you've got a lot going on in your head on the wild boar shoots. Germany isn't somewhere I've shot that many wild boar before. I've shot Bulgaria, I've shot Italy, I've shot Sweden, I have shot Czech Republic. I've been to several places. Now, interestingly, I've also got a trip to Sweden in December. That's back with Aimpoint again. And there's a lot of stuff to shoot in Sweden, but you've got to be extremely careful what you do shoot, because the age, sex, quarry species, all those kind of things, the rules are very particular, down to literally kilograms in weight on some of the sows and things like that. So don't make a mistake, because the bills are large. So there we go. That's a little bit of an insight onto it, because I'm going to be setting it up. I'm going to go and I'm going to zero it, which will be a very useful thing to do, I'm sure you'll know. Let's put this muzzle brake on here before I roll it off the bench. And let's get that set up. So I have looked through my armoury to see what rings I've got knocking around. I need Picatinny fit, I need 30mm tube size, and although I have all sorts, the ones that popped out to be the best specification, these are some low rings. These are Element Optics XT mounts, 30mm low. I have found these mounts very, very good. They're not too expensive, and of course I do want the low ones because it's a small scope. I can keep it low down. I don't need to have it, compromised because of a large objective lens or anything like that. Right, well, I hope you've liked that little intro into what I shall be doing. This is going on to a Sauer 100 in 308. So this is the VX-6, which is going on here, my 7mm PRC. So there we go. Right, I hope you've enjoyed that little bit of a clip it into what I do every day, planning ahead, thinking about what I'm going to do, and choosing from the things I've got available to me, or the things I've already got in stock, which is not that dissimilar to what you need to do when you go to your gun shop, to think, I need to plan this trip, I need to plan this kit, and this kit isn't just for one trip, this is this kit I want for 3 or 4 trips, or for the life of the rifle. Okay, in the UK it's a lot easier to sort of think that through for foxing or deer stalking, things you're going to be doing week in, week out through all 4 seasons, whereas the wild boar thing is something you're more likely to do in winter, overseas, on the continent, but they're very fun trips, and I have to say it's my absolute favourite form of shooting. I rarely do comment on things like that, but I remember the first time I ever went wild boar shooting over 10 years ago in Czech Republic. I just thought, this is awesome. I loved it. I love the atmosphere, I love the quarry, I love the shooting, I love the weather, I love the country, I love the rifles, I love everything about it. And it was so different, I think, to what I do as a reviewer, because as a reviewer I'm being so technical and testing everything and zeroing everything and checking data and specifications and all this kind of stuff, whereas on wild boar it's all about just getting out there, getting in your stand, knowing your quarry, knowing your zones, knowing your safety, watching, waiting, keeping your eyes glued for anything, because when they come you will have a split-second opportunity to do something. And it's not about how small the group size is on the rifle, it's about how well you can handle your rifle, how well you can shoot it, operate it. It's so much more akin in a way to game shooting, because you have fast opportunities and you have to be totally dynamic and intuitive about it. And the one thing I would say about the first time I ever went wild boar shooting compared to the only ever times I'd shot moving targets before, which was game shooting or clay shooting, you don't need as much lead. You don't want to swing through because you're not trying to string out the shot. You're just trying to keep ahead of the game, quite literally. Right, I'm going to get on my game Wild Boar Simulator, which I've been on all the time. I found it's got some new updates to it as well, so I've been shooting that, using that last night. When my pal came round to check some scopes out, he brought his son with him, and his son was absolutely glued to it for 2 hours while we were boringly discussing scopes and travel plans. And anyway, I digress. Right, you can see I'm actually I'm in just a generally pleased, happy mood about it, because I am really looking forward to this trip. And again, I'm going to be doing a different trip in December when I go over to Sweden for the Aimpoint shoot this year. So it's nice to contrast the different styles of shooting kit. But there we go. Right, Hope you've enjoyed that little bit of a clip it into my life. Please like, subscribe, comment, click the notification bell and keep track of the regular uploads. And don't forget to look through the description and look through the videos attached to this video, because there's a full review on that, there's a full review on the scope. There's going to be all sorts of stuff on this, and don't forget to click on the links, because there's the British Shooting Show, and there's also, thank you very much to Viking Arms for supplying all the scopes, to Edgar Brothers for the Hornady ammunition, and also to Viking Arms and Savage for the Savage rifle. Thank you very much. Bye for now.